Hello, everybody, and welcome to Analytics Mindset. This is actually the first episode of 2024, and we're going to start strong with another certification. I discussed the Microsoft AI Fundamentals not so long ago, and now I'm going to discuss the Microsoft Azure Data Fundamentals exam. Both the certification and the content are going to be in this video. I will not go into detail about each part of the video and each part of the credential. If you would like me to actually go more in detail, feel free to put a comment and I will consider it for the future. However, right now I'm going to do a very high level overview of the exam, how you should prepare, and what are some steps that you may want to do before taking this. Similarly to the AI Fundamentals exam, this is a Fundamentals certification, as name says. It will not get you a job straight out. If you're trying to do, for example, a data analyst role or a data engineer role, I'm sorry, but this is a stepping stone. I wouldn't expect to get a whole job if you only have this certification. It can boost your credentials if you have, let's say, job experience, but you are just lacking any kind of official confirmation that you know some concepts. That could be a good way to boost your resume too. And all things being equal, this certification will allow you to also just show that you know something that not other people know. It's just like a credential, but again, it's a fundamental certification. I wouldn't put that much emphasis on getting yourself a job here. If you want to pursue this certification, do it mostly for the content or because you want to give yourself an edge, all things being equal, against other candidates or other prospects that you may have. And jumping straight to certification, this is a fundamental certification that with the main page here that I will put in the description as always, you should be familiar with concepts of relational and non-relational data and different types of data workloads, such as transactional or analytical, that we will look later on. In my experience, the exam is very self-contained. You should be able to just use this material to study. You shouldn't need any other external resource to pass this exam. You can. There is a lot of Udemy courses. There is quite a bit of material out there that you can use to prepare yourself better if you want to. However, again, as long as you complete all of these modules, all of these learning paths, and you do every single exercise and read through the content, you shouldn't have any problem passing this exam. How much time are we talking about here? If we go through each of the sections, as you can see, it's divided in 4 learning paths: explore data concepts, explore relational data in Azure, explore non-relational data in Azure, and explore data analytics in Azure. First, we start with core data concepts. That is 45 minutes, is the basics of the course. You should expect this to be probably the easiest part. And if you don't have any experience with data, I would strongly recommend you to go through this a couple of times until you understand everything before moving to the rest of the learning paths. The next one is going to be relational data. You're going to explore databases, how normalization works to a very high level, and how Azure interacts with relational data in general. Non-relational data is going to go into Azure Storage, Cosmos DB, how you interact with non-relational data, and how you're able to extract insights from that data. Then we have data analytics in Azure. As you can see, this is way longer than any of the 3 of them. Actually, it is longer than the 3 of the other learning paths combined before. And you're going to see way more here, including how Azure does data ingestion, storage, modeling, and visualization. With that being said, there is a lot of resources that you can do for this exam. I will go into the learning paths more in detail in a bit. But you should be aware that the exam is going to cost you $99 unless you have any kind of voucher or discount. Be aware that if you fail the exam, you're going to need to retake it, paying for the fee again. In my experience, it's better to just wait, be very prepared for the exam and take it the first time, because again, it is not a free exam. You can do the training for free if you want, actually, and not get a certification. This fee is just if you want to actually take the certification and get the actual certification in with Microsoft in a proctored exam. You will have somebody watching you all the time. It's a proctored closed notes exam. And you also have a free practice assessment here. I strongly recommend you that after you have gone through all the learning paths, please go to the practice assessment and go through each of the 50 questions to check your understanding. This is an example. Which type of data structure should you use for optimize, create, read, update, and delete CRUD operations, also known for data set in a multi-column tabular format? Here is where you need to see what option is available. Let's say you don't know. I say relational database and check your answer. That was correct. As you can see, it gives you the explanation of why and the actual link to where that training is hosted on. And you can go next. I'm not going to go through all of this, but basically you want to be sure that at least you understand what you are being tested on. A lot of these questions are very similar to the ones in the exam, and Microsoft recommends you to at least get an 80% in this test before moving to the actual exam. You have that resource there, and you also have this structure-led path, but that actually costs money. Again, I am all in for minimizing expenses when possible for these certifications, and as I'm saying, I feel that these paths are self-contained. Last resource here that I will also put in the description of the video is a study guide for this exam. You can see here that it will show you topic by topic what you need to prepare for. That is basically what is in this learning path that we will go in a bit. High level, the exam updates pretty recently updated and includes Microsoft Fabric. There is a lot of the changes here too. As you can see, the last update was in February 1st, 2024. So actually, that is pretty recent. That is going to be that's an update that's coming out for the exam. But at a very, very high level, you're going to have to describe core data concepts, identify considerations for relational data on Azure, describe considerations for non-relational data, and analytics workloads on Azure. That is pretty much all the names for the learning paths here. You can see here very high level what are the actual topics that is coming high level, but again, this is almost exactly the same that comes into the learning path, so we will not waste that much time there. You have a lot of studied resources, as you can see here. You have extra documentation that you can actually look at. Let's say you're confused about Azure SQL documentation. You can click on it and get more into that. Data Factory, Azure Databricks, Cosmos DB. I had a lot of problems with Cosmos DB and Synapse Analytics when I was taking the exam, etc. You want to be able to actually do and understand all of the concepts here, at least a high level, just to get that certification. You have here the change logs too, that again, you shouldn't care that much about it, but here are the minor changes, no changes, etc. if you took the exam before and now you're taking it again. And also, who is the audience profile? As you can see, here's the backlog from the last time, the change log, and I will not go that much into it, but that is what you want to know, for example. And now, with that being said, we are just going to go into the actual content. Core data concepts. This is the basis of this certification, very self-contained. You are going to go through the core data concepts first by identifying data formats, file storage in Azure, explore databases, explore transactional data processing that you may know as OLAP, and analytical data processing, also known as OLTP. Each of these sections has a knowledge check. I strongly recommend you to go through the knowledge checks too. After that, you're going to go through data, roles, and services. You will go into the introduction, the job roles in the world of data, data services, knowledge check, and summary. This is probably one of the smallest sections in the whole exam. I wouldn't give it too much relevance. And if you actually want to break into data, IT, or analytics, you actually kind of want to know these from the top of your head, because it's going to be very important when you're actually applying to a job. But it shouldn't be very demanding. It's probably the easiest part of the exam by far. After this section, you will come into explore relational data in Azure. For relational data, you will come up into first fundamental relational data concepts with the introduction, what is relational data, understanding normalization to a high level. It's not gonna come to a granular level, so don't worry if you have seen normalization before and you didn't understand it. It is to a very high level. SQL. You should have a not strong grasp on SQL, but you should be able to at least do simple queries and simple aggregations. That will be my main recommendation here. Maybe some joins. The exam does not test you on SQL, but you may be given a question with a SQL query here and there. And you should just be able to say, this is what this query is doing. You don't need to be able to write it by yourself, but you should be able to at least read SQL, read simple queries. If you're not familiar with SQL, I recommend you to at least explore outside. W3 Schools is an awesome resource for that. I also have videos in this channel about relational databases and SQL too. Again, you just need the basis of the basics. You don't need anything big. Probably with half an hour to 20 minutes, if you have zero experience, should be enough with that. Then the second part is going to be relational databases in Azure. So you're going to see how the services in Azure relate to the relational databases. Azure SQL is by far the flagship service for Azure for relational databases. Then open source databases like MySQL. You will see also exploring relational databases in an exercise and the knowledge check. From there, we go to the non-relational data in Azure. The non-relational data will come up with the blob storage. How do you use Azure Data Lake, Storage Gen 2, Azure Files, Tables, and how you use Azure Storage. I would say that this section can be a little bit complicated, more so because Azure has its own terminology that if you have worked with AWS, let's say, or Google Cloud Platform, a lot of the same services are equivalent, but they have different names. You may just want to refresh yourself, even if you know what's a page storage, what's blob storage, etc. You may want to just know how Azure calls it, because at least in my experience, that caught me off guard one or two times. Then you will go into Azure Cosmos DB, the actual service for non-relational data. What is Cosmos DB? What are the APIs that you can use? Explore it in an exercise and another check. Finally, we come to probably the biggest section, by far the biggest of the exam, data analytics in Azure. You have a lot here. Again, this is more than half of all the other the total content for the study, the learning paths. And you will start with explore large scale analytics. You will come here for concepts like data warehousing, data pipelines, analytical data storage. How do you use platform as a service? What's Azure Synapse Analytics, Microsoft Fabric, etc. If you haven't used data warehouses either as a user or as an admin before, just refresh yourself on that concept, on the Snowflake schema, how OLAP differs from OLTP, that kind of stuff, because that will come very handy later on. But it's pretty self-contained. You should be able to get it from this context here, from the material here. But again, assuming you have zero experience on it, you would like to understand what is going on. So especially here, if you feel that you are getting lost, go to other resources in a more basic level and come back when you understand that. That is my recommendation. Then we have real-time analytics, stream and batch processing, how they differ to each other. What are you gonna do in common elements? How does Azure Stream Analytics works? How Apache Spark works on Microsoft Azure, real-time analytics in Fabric, and all of that other stuff. Basically, how do you capture real-time? And this is more focused on Internet of Things, services, and devices. And finally, data visualization. This is a very smaller module, 38 minutes, but you will be basically introduced to Power BI if you haven't used it before, and The exercise is just building your own dashboard. If you have experience dashboarding, either through Excel, Tableau, or other platform, a lot of the concepts are going to be overlapping. Very similar to the storage, my storage comment, you will just need to know what Power BI calls some stuff that you may know from other tool, but Power BI just has its own different terminology for it. But yeah, that is pretty much it for the exam. And again, my personal experience as somebody that actually holds a certification for this exam is that it's an easy exam to some degree, mostly if you have experience working as a data analyst or any kind of analyst that at least does some SQL and some data manipulation. But it will still be a good credential for you to have, more so if you want to invest on yourself there. But again, I just want to remark, this will not get you a job by itself. It may boost your chances. Still, you should be able to assess if this certification is right for you to invest your time there. All right, this is the first video of 2024. I'm pretty grateful if you're here. As always, please put a like, a comment if this was useful to you, and tell me if you're intending to actually take the certification. I will be really glad to just know about that and if I can help you in any way. Thank you. Have a good day.